Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of As You Pass By. And I am James West, your host. So I'm not going to talk for very long. I just wanted to clear up a couple of things. So we're looking at movie theaters or former movie theaters or the location of movie theaters that were in a kind of a specific area. So it starts at 14th Street on the north, the East River on the east, Houston Street on the west, and 3rd Avenue on the west side. And the reason I say that is, so 14th Street was a pretty major entertainment center a long time ago, going back over 100 years ago. Actually probably more like 150 years ago. So I'm trying to avoid the 14th Street area. There's nothing really left. There are no remnants of any of the theaters that used to exist there, including the famous Academy of Music, which was actually on 2 different sites. There was an older version of the Academy of Music, and then there was the newer version, which some of you out there may remember. So I'm not going into that, and so with one exception, most of the theaters that we're looking at are below 14th Street, and the same with the ones on Houston. There's just a handful of theaters that are below. They're really not very far below Houston Street. They're on Houston Street. So anyway, I included them. Also, if you have any questions or comments, especially if you think I've gotten something wrong, or that I missed something, or you'd like to know more, let me know in the comments below. When you like and subscribe, you can also make a comment. I think you can leave a comment anyway. So, but feel free, ask me questions, tell me if you like it or hate it. Tell me what you would like to see or what you wouldn't like to see. And, I'll read everything. So enjoy, and we're beginning the tour now. At 185 Avenue B, at the corner of 12th Street and Avenue B, was the Bijou Theater, which was here until pretty recently, probably around 2010, 2012. I think parts of it had been demolished earlier, before this building was put up. And it was formerly the original name of the theater was the Bijou Theater, and it became the Charles Theater later on. I remember seeing a movie there in the 60s. It was, I think I was the only person in the theater. And then I think it became like the Fillmore. There was a period where it was used for musical performances. Anyway, this is where it was. Now we're here at 5th Street and Avenue B. I'm going to cross the street. I almost got run over. But this is where the Lowe's Avenue B stood, built in 1913. It's quite a beautiful building. And I'm pretty sure this is the second building that's been here since then. Torn down in probably the 60s or 50s. It didn't survive very long. And it was a nursing home for a while, and then it became this sort of apartments, condominiums, nondescript, not unlike everything else in the neighborhood. And this is we're actually south of Houston Street now. We're on Houston and Christie, which turns into, as you go uptown, it turns into 2nd Avenue. And so what we're looking at now is also a remnant. It's, the building that we're sort of interested in isn't there anymore, but it used to be it was called the National Theater, and it was also called the Tomaszewski Theater. It was one of the first of the Yiddish theaters in the East Village, Lower East Side area. Second Avenue was where a lot of them were located, but this was torn down many years ago. It was quite a huge place, and it also had some office buildings, some office space on top. And so here we are, 105 2nd Avenue, and everybody's going to know what this location was. It started out in life as the Lowe's Commodore, and I can't give you an exact date, but probably built around 1915. And you could see back in front of me, sort of in the distance, a light brown building, relatively new. It built in the 90s, I think, which was where the actual theater was, just like the one that we just visited on 2nd Avenue, the Anderson, or the Public. The facade of the theater was actually quite small compared to the interior. Anyway, and also the other thing I should probably stress a little bit more, which is these were all part of the Yiddish theater that existed at the time. So there were quite a few movies, but there were also live performances in all of these theaters, all of the ones that we've seen so far, especially along 2nd Avenue. And yes, if you guessed that this is where the Fillmore East used to be, you are right. Opened in about 1968. It was another sort of music hall before that for about 2 years, 67 or 68. And I've forgotten the name of it, but someone maybe will in the comments will remind everybody. But it was the Fillmore through probably the mid-70s, and then it became the Saint, a sort of a large private club later on. But anyway, this is it. Here we are on 2nd Avenue and 12th Street, and one of the also still functioning theaters from the early Yiddish theater days. This is a beautiful building, and the interior is still pretty much preserved, especially the main theater. You can see in the back where behind the facade, there's a large sort of blank wall over here. And also on the second floor, not very many people know this, but there's several apartments up there, and they're rent stabilized. Don't ask me how I know, but there's a small door right next to the where you buy your tickets that is an entrance to the apartments. I'm guessing that the apartments were originally for some of the actors or producers or directors that were involved in the productions. Beautiful building. And here at 185 Street was where the Lucky Strike movie theater used to exist. I'd have gotten this shot. I'm across on the east side of 1st Avenue, and in 1940, and actually up until about 1957, there would have been elevated railroad tracks here for the 2nd Avenue subway, which went up 1st Avenue until 23rd Street. But anyway, here was the theater. At the time, it was named the Lucky Star, and it was one of the smaller cinemas in the East Village, and it's the only one I've been able to find on 1st Avenue. So, for whatever reason, 1st Avenue wasn't a big movie goer haven. So this is 79 First Avenue. We're over here at 141 Houston Street, East Houston. And I just missed this one too. This was the original site of the Sunshine movie theater. And it was kind of out of use from the late 50s until the 80s, and it went and enjoyed a revival. But then it was torn down, and this was built, and I'm not sure it's even fully finished yet, but it was finished around 2020, I think. This is, actually I should say was, the corner of 14th Street and Avenue A, and now it's the entrance to Stuyvesant Town. But right here, where I'm looking, was the site of the old Mecca movie theater. It took a lot to find out any information about this place. I first saw it on an old map, and it was destroyed long ago, probably in the 1930s, before Stuyvesant Town was even, had begun to be constructed. They had to demolish everything that was around here. The whole area looked pretty much like the rest of the East Village to my south, until it was built in shortly after World War II. Anyway, the Mecca Theater was right over here, and built in about 1915. Stood right on this corner.